What is your name and age?
My name is Kintner Alverson, and I'm 70 years old. And I got my name, my first and my middle name, from my grandmothers.
Where were you and your family born?
My family, meaning my father was born in Spokane, Washington. My mother was born in Michigan, in Flint, Michigan. I was born in Los Angeles. My brother was born in Sacramento, and my sister was born in San Diego.
What schools did you attend?
While I was in grade school, K1 through 6, I went to 7 different schools throughout the United States because my father was in the military, so we traveled a lot. And I went to 2 high schools in California, one in Southern California and one in Northern California. And then I went to college. But first, my father, being in the military, was transferred over to England, and I had to go over there with him. So I spent a year over there working and going to night school with the University of Maryland. And then he decided that I needed to go to a real college. And he told me, he says, Kintner, you're going to go to school and you're going to get a degree in engineering. You're going to go to a military school, and then you're going to get in the military. And I just said, yes, sir. And so I did that. So I went to Texas A&M University in Texas and graduated from there with a commission in the Air Force.
Did you get into trouble when you were young?
When I was young, yeah, kinda. When I was in high school, I got running around with some of the wrong kids. And we used to kind of do things like steal hubcaps off cars and things like that, which is not right. I knew it wasn't right, but it didn't really dawn on me until I got caught and put in jail. I had to spend the night in jail. The next day I said, this is not the road that I want to take. So I cleaned up my act and I started doing everything. And when we'd go out and they wanted to do something, I'd say, let me out of the car, I can't do this anymore. So I learned my lesson about right and wrong.
What did you do after high school?
Well, I went to college, okay. Texas A&M, when I went there, was an all-male school, military, and you had to be in the Corps of Cadets, which is ROTC, and you get to go through the Corps of Cadets. It trains you for the military. So I went there for 5 years. I had a 4-year curriculum that I really worked hard to make into 5 years. And that's a joke. Anyway, I graduated from there in 1966 with a degree in aerospace engineering, which my father wanted me to have a degree in engineering. It wasn't the one that he wanted me to have it in, but I got it. And then I went in the Air Force, and I became a pilot in the Air Force.
Please tell me about your military experience.
When I got out of college, I had to go to flight school. And that was a very exciting thing, except sometimes it got kind of scary because I didn't really know what I was doing a lot of. Sometimes when I'd get ready to go fly, I'd have to go out behind the barn and throw up before I went to fly because I was so scared. But after a while, I got used to it, and everything was okay. And then after I finished pilot school, I went to training for the F-4 Phantom. And I was what they call a backseat pilot. And I spent, after that, 1 tour in Vietnam, combat. Then I came back, and they allowed me to upgrade to the front seat. So I had to go through another 6 months of training. Then I went back to Vietnam again for another year. And then I went to some various other places in the States. And then I went overseas to England, had 2 tours in England. And then I went to the Philippines, had a tour there, and then back in the States. Just for your information, I had 14 different bases that I was assigned to while I was in the military throughout the world.
I would like to hear about your flying experience.
Flying is probably one of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life. I enjoyed it so much. In a fighter, you have the freedom to be able to see and maneuver and do things. Probably the worst time of it all was when you go into combat and you think, is it my turn to be shot? And you hope that it's not. So you fly your missions. I flew about 600 missions in Vietnam. And after every one, you'd say, God, thank you for taking care of me. And then you'd wait for the next day. As far as stories go, what kind of stories you want to hear? You don't know? There was a story once where we went up into North Vietnam, and I really was scared because it was later on in the war. People were getting shot down, and I said, I really don't want to do this, but they made me do it anyway. So we went up there, dropped our bombs, and came home, and absolutely nothing happened. And I was so happy.
What kind of plane did you fly?
Well, I started off flying in the 38, which was in pilot school. Then I went to the F-4 Phantom, and I flew that for 9 years. And I had 3 tours in Vietnam in that airplane. And then after I'd flown that for a while, they had what they called an aggressor squadron, which was a unit that was designed to teach people how to fly air-to-air combat. And I flew the F-5 for 4 years doing that. And then I went to the AT-38 where I taught other pilots how to be fighter pilots. And then I flew the OV-10, which was a close air support type of airplane. All of them very good, a lot of fun airplane. The F-4 will go twice the speed of sound. You know how fast that is? That's about 1,400 miles an hour. The F-5 would go 1.5 times the speed of sound, which is about, 1,000 miles an hour, maybe a little more. The AT-38 would go about 800 or 900 miles an hour, and the OV-10, 400 miles an hour. It was a slow airplane. The F-4 had any kind of weapon that you wanted. It could shoot missiles at other airplanes. It could drop bombs on targets. Had a Gatling gun, which would shoot 6,000 rounds a minute. You know how fast? That's 100 bullets a second, which it would shoot. And you'd use that to destroy trucks and targets on the ground. The F-5 had the same type of capabilities, but we used it primarily for air-to-air and just shoot missiles. The OV-10 had rocket capability, small bombs, things. In the AT-38, we could do practice bombs because it was for training.
What did you do after the military?
Well, after I retired from the military, we lived in Florida, and I had gotten a boat, so I did some boating. And then after a while, I realized that that probably wasn't the way I wanted to go. So I sold the boat, and then I started working on clocks. And I built some clocks and repaired some clocks. And then about 5 years after I retired, I moved to McDowell County. When I got up here, I fell in love with it. It was absolutely a fantastic place. And I've always wanted to be in the rescue business, so I went over to the rescue squad, and I asked them if I could join, and they said, sure, come on. So I was with the rescue squad for 5 years. Then I got on the ski patrol. And because I was doing so many other things, I had to get out of the rescue squad because I did ski patrol all winter long, which is a fantastic job if you like the cold and the skiing. And I've done that now for 10 years, okay? But in the process since I've been here, I've rebuilt a house, completely rebuilt a little house. I'm the chairman on the planning board for the city, and I volunteer for other various things. I'm a member of the First Baptist Church in Marion. I volunteer for stuff there.
What is the one thing you want people to remember about you?
Probably the one thing I'd like people to remember that I was in fact a pretty good guy, and I tried to help people as much as possible. And I would give the shirt off my back for anybody that needed help or needed anything.
What was the best thing happened to you?
Everything that's happened to me has been good except the one time I was in jail. I look at life as very positive, and I like to think that everything that you do is an experience, and you learn from it, and you continue to learn until you die. It's really amazing. The older you get, you realize you're not quite as smart as you thought you were. So I look at every experience and everything that you do as a learning lesson. Some of them are a little better than others, but I can't say that there is anything that I have really not liked doing.